A young man dressed in clean clothes was rummaging through the trash to find food. Unfortunately, this scene was witnessed by a classmate. Ironically, that food happened to be the breakfast she had thrown away. Lily was deeply puzzled. She couldn't understand why Atlas, who clearly had a home, had to live in the dilapidated building across the street. She intended to ask him the reason on their way to school, but when she turned to look, his empty and helpless eyes left her unable to say a word. So after school, Lily prepared food and drinks from home, and even carefully brought along some personal items. She carried the heavy bag, and quietly went to the place Atlas often stayed. She gently placed the bag in front of the window and knocked on the wooden board to signal him. But to preserve his last bit of dignity, she quickly ran out of the fence and hid behind a large tree to conceal her small act of kindness. She didn't know that all her actions had already been seen by Atlas. The next day, Atlas deliberately waited for Lily at the bus stop. Although Lily didn't admit it, Atlas was deeply moved by that care. Only because of the shyness of youth, he didn't know how to express his gratitude. This time, he took the initiative to sit next to Lily, and that gave Lily the courage to find out the truth. It turned out that Atlas's mother had endured domestic violence for a long time. Unfortunately, his tender fists could not awaken his mother's sense of resistance. Just then, the classmates around began mocking Atlas for the strange smell on him. Seeing Atlas lower his head, unable to refute, a strong feeling of wanting to protect him arose in Lily's heart.
Look, my parents don't get home from work till around 5, so if you want to shower or, I don't know, wash clothes or, I don't mind.
Yeah.
She never expected that this act would later become the salvation of her own turbulent life. While Atlas was bathing, Lily not only thoughtfully prepared food for him, but also lent him her father's shirt. Indeed, when he wore a proper shirt, Atlas's eyes became noticeably more confident. But not wanting to trouble Lily, Atlas intended to leave with gratitude in his heart. Unexpectedly, Lily invited him to stay and watch a movie. At that moment, Atlas finally set aside his worries and carefully sat down beside Lily. Lily spoke about her plans after graduation, while Atlas said he had signed up for naval training. Atlas's serious face made Lily burst out laughing. Yet what Atlas didn't know was that this was the first time Lily had felt such happiness since she was a child. It turned out Lily, like Atlas, had grown up in an environment full of violence. Although her father appeared to be a respected mayor, behind closed doors he often abused her mother. Therefore, Lily had never felt the warmth of a family and was always haunted by those nightmares. So she helped Atlas, not only out of friendship but also because of their similar circumstances. With nowhere else to go, Atlas could only live in the ruined building across the street. Lily often came to find him and planted trees with him.
What about that oak tree? It doesn't need anybody to grow because it's capable of taking care of itself. No matter what, it'll keep standing. Strong and sturdy, and yeah, it survives because it's a goddamn oak tree.
Lily hoped she could be strong and resilient like those oaks, never falling no matter what happened. Atlas said he had heard her father shouting at her mother the day before. He asked if that happened often. Seeing Lily remain silent, Atlas realized he had touched her pain. He quickly embraced her warmly. It was this unexpected care that gave rise to a special feeling in their hearts. A feeling beyond friendship but not yet named as love. The next day, Atlas gave Lily a heart carved from wood.
Strong and sturdy.
He hoped Lily could be as strong as an oak tree, but he could not have known that this heart would not only become the compass of Lily's life, but also sow the seeds of her later troubled fate. Seeing them openly dating, the classmates behind still did not stop making malicious remarks. Atlas was too used to it, but Lily stood up bravely. The young shoots of love sprouted at that moment, courageously embracing the sun and wind. In the days that followed, Lily always took advantage of her parents' absence to bring Atlas home. But this help and closeness made Atlas uneasy. Was Lily sincere, or was it only pity? Each time he looked deeply into Lily's eyes, he tried to find the answer, but instead got lost in her genuine smile. Unfortunately, Lily's father came home early. To prevent him from discovering the secret, Lily hurriedly told Atlas to leave through the window. Outwardly, she acted as if nothing had happened, but inside she was in extreme panic, knowing well her father's cruel nature. At her age, she dared not do anything against his will, and she could not drag Atlas into such danger. Unfortunately, they were not always so lucky. Their relationship grew closer, and they often forgot the time Lily's father came home. Finally, on that day, her father discovered his daughter's secret. Seeing the two of them intimate at home, his anger erupted. He rushed into the room and dragged Atlas out of bed, ignoring his daughter's desperate pleas. The blows rained down on Atlas without pause until he collapsed unconscious. Only then did her father stop. In this way, her father not only destroyed the one Atlas loved most, but also destroyed the bond between father and daughter. From that day, Lily left home and left the sorrowful town behind. 10 years later, because her father suddenly passed away, Lily was forced to return to the town. Even so, the hatred she felt for him had never faded, for he had left too many wounds in the family. But unlike her mother was overwhelmed with grief, even regretting that Lily could not see her father one last time. Lily did not respond to her mother, and only hurriedly carried her luggage upstairs. After 10 years, she once again stepped into her room. Everything remained as it was when she left. The only difference was that the ruined building across the street had been completely replaced. Since that incident, Atlas had disappeared. He had taken with him all the beautiful promises, leaving behind only the wooden heart. Suddenly, her mother interrupted her thoughts.
He really loved you.
Who?
Your father.
I know. Yeah, I know.
How's the eulogy coming, hon?
It is one of the most beautiful things I've never written.
Just say 5 things you loved about your father.
Mama, it's not a grocery list.
Just 5 things. Simple. From the heart. You're going to be great. It's going to be great.
She wanted Lily to speak at her father's funeral, to say 5 good things about him. Lily avoided her mother's determined gaze because her heart was in turmoil. The deep scars in her memory, the echoes of pleading still rang in her ears. How could she piece together those fragments to find something good about her father? On the day of the funeral, the church was crowded with subordinates and villagers. But as his daughter, the lines she had prepared were still a blank page. Looking into her mother's hopeful eyes, she did not even have the courage to utter a single lie, for her father truly had nothing worthy of praise. She left the house again and returned to Boston, where she had lived for the past 10 years. She went up to the hospital rooftop, hoping to find some peace. But soon after, a man stormed in. He looked extremely angry, and even kicked over a chair on the rooftop. Clearly, he had not noticed Lily was there. Only when he turned around did he regain his composure and embarrassment. Lily intended to ignore him, but he misunderstood that she was having desperate thoughts, and came to sit beside her. It turned out this man's name was Ryle, a surgeon at the hospital. Because of a failed surgery that could not save a little boy, he was feeling deeply tormented. Lily also began to talk about her father who had just passed away. She had originally planned to find a place where she could cry freely, but unexpectedly met Ryle. What she did not expect was that Ryle invited her to sit down and share stories to ease her emotions. Lily herself did not understand why, when facing this stranger she had just met, she could talk endlessly. She spoke about her first love and her dream of opening a flower shop. When Ryle learned that Lily was still single, he did not hesitate to express his feelings, and even caressed her long hair. The warmth from his palm spread to her fingertips, and in those deep eyes Lily felt her heart waver. But just then, an untimely phone call rang. A colleague was urging Ryle to prepare for the next surgery. Lily also snapped back in panic. She was glad she had not lost control, because she still loved Atlas very much. Every day Lily designed flower arrangements. She had never forgotten Atlas's encouragement, and always thought that one day when they met again, he would see that she had fulfilled her dream. Therefore, she rented a shop on the street and decided to open the flower store she dreamed of. While she was busy tidying up the clutter in the shop, a well-dressed woman suddenly walked in. She said that she really liked this place, had been observing for a long time but had never seen anyone open it. Today, when she saw Lily, she wanted to ask if Lily needed a helper. At that moment, Lily remembered she had not removed the recruitment sign on the door. For someone just starting out like her, with limited capital, it was not enough to hire extra staff. But considering the daily work of a flower shop, from taking care of flowers to cleaning the store, everything required a lot of effort. After careful thought, she decided to hire Elisa. So the two of them became busy, clearing away scraps of paper by the window, wiping down the old dusty table. Everything was arranged according to Lily's design. With their efforts, the flower shop gradually became warm and inviting. Not long after, Elisa received a call from her husband. He and his brother were coming to take her out to dinner. What surprised Lily was that the brother Elisa mentioned turned out to be Ryle. Perhaps this was fate, arranging for the two of them who had left no contact information that night to meet again by chance. Elisa also noticed Ryle's feelings and suggested that the four of them go to dinner together, perhaps because she could not refuse her friend's warm invitation, or perhaps it was the subtle guidance of destiny. Lily agreed. But love could not be hidden. Even in a lively place, Ryle's eyes never left Lily. He even went up on stage and with a voice full of emotion sang a song carrying his feelings for her. After the party, Ryle insisted on taking Lily home. He stayed close to her, using the most passionate affection to break through the heart that had been closed for so long. At last, in a certain moment, Lily seemed to have accepted Ryle, but the quiet determination within her made her feel guilty toward Atlas. Therefore, she had to stop that brief moment of longing. On the day of the flower shop's opening, Lily stood before the store she had built with her own hands. The tearful sunsets, the moments when she almost collapsed, had now turned into the fragrance of flowers drifting from the window, transforming her dream into a tangible reality. As the first customer, Ryle had made a point to come very early. Amid Lily's playful teasing, he carefully chose a bouquet of fresh flowers to give to the girl he had secretly admired for so long. Then he took a card and wrote the recipient's address on it. Seeing this, Lily suddenly stopped her hands and quietly stepped closer. Clearly, she was jealous. Only when Ryle paid and left did she realize that the address he had written was none other than this flower shop. Her heart was filled with joy. That evening, Lily was invited to Elisa's birthday party. She thought the secret affection of the day would grow deeper at the party, but unexpectedly, when she looked up, she saw Ryle chatting happily with another woman. So, she made an excuse to go to the bar for a glass of champagne, then took off her coat and walked slowly past Ryle. Indeed, with her unique charm, Ryle could not help but follow. Once again he confessed his feelings to Lily, but each time she looked into Ryle's deep eyes, she felt an indescribable sensation, like a time key unlocking the memories that always drew her back to Atlas of the past. Before his confession, in that moment Lily completely gave in, and her next decision would become a wound in her fate that could never be healed. In Ryle's luxurious villa, the emotions that had long accumulated between them broke through all barriers of reason, surging like a fierce wave flooding the dam of the heart. Every touch of skin told of the long-suppressed yearning. Suddenly, Lily stopped abruptly. Perhaps the intimacy had stirred her insecurity and fears, or perhaps the wounds of the past still ached quietly within her. She clearly needed more time to overcome this psychological barrier. Ryle did not force her. He only handed Lily one of his pajamas. He was willing to wait for the day Lily would completely let go of the past and accept a new love. Unexpectedly, the next morning, Elisa, as usual, brought coffee to her brother, but happened to find Lily had stayed overnight. She was not happy. Instead, she advised Lily to be cautious with this relationship. Knowing too well her brother's womanizing nature, she feared that kind-hearted Lily would be hurt. After that, she couldn't hold back and scolded Ryle, hoping he would cherish the person in front of him. But by then, Lily and Ryle were already deeply immersed in love, so the sister's advice became unnecessary. From that day, they began their sweet dates. In his free time, Ryle would stay at the shop with Lily, and after his work, Lily gave him the warmest care. They healed the wounds in each other's hearts and gradually said goodbye to their unhappy pasts. After fully trusting this man, Lily moved into Ryle's apartment, but fate began a cruel joke with her. Because her mother was coming to visit, Lily booked a table at a restaurant called Ruth. As her boyfriend, Ryle also wanted to come along. That evening, the two arrived at the restaurant where Lily's mother was already waiting. As soon as they met, Lily introduced her new boyfriend to her mother. Her mother was very happy to see Lily, had overcome the pain and was ready to accept new love. With his handsome appearance and natural humor, Ryle quickly won Lily's mother's favor. But when Ryle stood up to go to the restroom, something unexpected happened. When the restaurant manager brought the menu, Lily accidentally saw a familiar scar. She looked up and realized it was the man she had buried deep in her heart. In that moment, it was as if they had returned to their naive years, but they did not recognize each other. Lily tried to stay calm and order food, but her mind could not leave Atlas. When Ryle came back, she finally could not suppress the stirring in her heart and made an excuse to go to the restroom. Atlas was waiting for her there. After 10 years, both had changed a lot. He once told Lily that after leaving the service, he would move to Boston. Unfortunately, now Lily stood right before him, but the promise of the past could no longer be fulfilled. When he learned Lily had a new boyfriend, Atlas also said that he had a girlfriend. Her name was Cassie, a cheerful girl. After a few words of greeting, Lily gave him the address of her flower shop, hoping he could stop by when he had time. But after that chance encounter, Atlas never came to Lily's shop. Life went on quietly, until one day Elisa became pregnant. They went to a bar to celebrate, and accidentally revealed a childhood secret. Elisa said they had another brother named Emerson, but he had died when he was young. In that moment, Ryle suddenly became pensive, but Lily didn't think much of it, assuming it was a normal reaction to losing a loved one. She had no idea that this secret would become the turning point that changed Ryle's character. The next morning, Ryle noticed the heart on Lily's collarbone. Although Lily explained that it had no special meaning, Ryle kept pressing her about it. This was the first time Lily felt a chill under his gaze. Suddenly, smoke poured out from the oven. Only then did they realize the pizza was burned. Flustered, Ryle hurriedly tried to pull it out with his bare hands. In a burst of anger, he ended up knocking Lily down. In that moment, Lily seemed to realize something and accidentally pushed Ryle. When she saw the cuts on his palm, she felt guilty and kept apologizing. Although what had just happened frightened her, she consoled herself that it was only an accident. But she did not know that domestic violence had begun to sprout from that very moment. To make amends, Ryle suggested they go back to the restaurant that evening. Hearing this, Lily quickly tried to find an excuse to refuse. She did not want Atlas to see the bruise at the corner of her eye. But Ryle said Elisa had already reserved a table, so Lily had no choice but to agree. She thought that just by applying concealer she could cover up the wound. But during dinner, Atlas still noticed the bruise at the corner of her eye, along with Ryle's bandaged hand. Atlas immediately understood everything. Seeing him storm off in anger, Lily quickly stood up saying she was going to the restroom. This coincidence made Ryle begin to suspect. As for the bruise on her eye, Lily could only explain it was an accident. But Atlas realized that Ryle was an abuser. Lily did not want to argue with Atlas there. Unexpectedly, as soon as she stepped out, she ran into Ryle. Before Ryle could speak to question her, Atlas had already delivered a stern warning.
Touch you again, I'll cut your hand off and shove it down your throat, you piece of shit.
Stop!
When Ryle learned that Atlas was Lily's first love, he became even more furious. Losing control, he began to vent his anger despite Lily's desperate pleas. Only when two restaurant employees forcibly dragged them apart did the unexpected fight finally end. Even though Lily chased after him, apologizing endlessly, and even promising never to contact Atlas again, from that moment, unspoken doubts and broken trust had become a barrier hard to reconcile in this turmoil. Time passed and the calm of life seemed to cover everything. Alisa was also about to welcome a new member to the family. But on that day, Atlas unexpectedly came to the flower shop. He apologized to Lily for his impulsiveness that night. As her ex-boyfriend, he should not have interfered in Lily's present life, but since that night he had not been able to stop worrying about her, only wanting to see if she was living well. It turned out that during the days Lily longed for Atlas, he had always quietly watched over her life from a place she could not see.
Are you happy?
Yeah.
Lily's hesitant answer made him realize everything, so Atlas decisively took paper and pen, wrote down his contact number, and slipped it into Lily's phone case. The closeness of Atlas's return made Lily waver a little. So when Ryle came home, she searched for an answer to help herself make a decision. She asked Ryle if he was happy. Ryle noticed Lily was acting a little unusual and quickly pressed her for the reason. Lily had to tell him about her father abusing her mother and also about her past with Atlas. Only then did Ryle understand that the last time Lily pushed him away instinctively was due to the lingering trauma from domestic violence. He was heartbroken, comforted Lily, and promised that from now on, he would definitely protect her. Not long after, Alisa gave birth to their child. Ryle took the opportunity of seeing this happy family of three to propose to Lily. In this warm moment, Lily was so moved she could not speak. After his heartfelt words, she finally made an important decision in her life. Soon after, the two of them walked into the wedding hall together and began a sweet married life. She did not know that an abyss of endless suffering was waiting for her. While Lily was talking with her mother, a loud noise suddenly came from the room. Not hearing Ryle answer, a bad premonition rose in her heart. When she stepped into the room, she saw the desk lamps scattered on the floor, and Ryle, standing there with an angry face. It turned out he had dropped her phone and saw what Atlas had left. Lily hurriedly explained that there was nothing between them, but unexpectedly, when she chased after him, an accident occurred. Ryle carelessly caused her to fall down the stairs. When she woke up, Ryle was checking her wounds, but her mind was blank, unable to remember how she had fallen. Ryle said it was only an accident. He had intended to catch Lily but had not been fast enough. However, seeing the obvious injuries, Lily still felt uneasy, yet she chose to believe that everything had only been an accident. Time quickly soothed the scars, and good news arrived. Alisa told her that their flower shop had reached 7th place in the competition for the best new store. This honor would bring them great attention. However, when she flipped through the magazine, she saw Atlas's restaurant ranked first. That evening, as expected, Ryle suddenly asked the meaning of the heart. This made Lily uneasy. Before she could speak, Ryle forced her to read aloud the rankings in the magazine. The article revealed that Ruth Restaurant was at the top of the list, and Atlas had shared the story behind it. He had carved an oak heart for a girl, and the restaurant's name came from something she once said to him. Atlas also said that the restaurant was opened solely because of her. Hearing those words, Lily could no longer continue reading. The belated meaning choked her with emotion. Although these things belonged to the past and she was already married, when Ryle asked if she still loved that person, she remained silent. Seeing this, Ryle already had his answer. Ignoring Lily's feelings, he forced intimacy upon her. Although Lily pleaded with him to stop, Ryle had lost control. In her dizziness, she saw again the scene of her mother being abused, and the moment she first met Ryle. It turned out that time was not an accident. Ryle had pushed her down the stairs. Those innate, violent tendencies had always existed around her. It was only when comforted in love that she chose to trust him. She went to Atlas's restaurant, the only place she could lean on, and the only man in the world who could make her feel safe. In the examination afterward, apart from a bite mark on her collarbone, she had no other serious injuries. But just as she decided to leave Ryle, the doctor announced that she was pregnant. Lily was stunned, her lips curling into a bitter smile. She longed to escape Ryle, yet felt guilty toward the tiny unborn life. On the way back, neither of them said a word. Atlas drove her to his home. Only then did Lily realize the girlfriend Atlas once mentioned had been a lie. All these years he had still been waiting for her. He brought her clothes to change into, gave her the bedroom, and slept temporarily on the sofa himself. The warm water from the shower streamed down, each drop reminding her of what had happened. In the end, she made the difficult decision to abort the child. But when Atlas found out, he disagreed. He also revealed a secret he had kept for a long time. Back then, he had once thought of ending his life in that ruined building. But by chance, he saw Lily in the building across the street. He said Lily had saved his life when she brought him food the next day. He believed Lily would be a good mother, and that the baby would be very lucky if she decided to keep it. With Atlas's encouragement, Lily regained her faith in becoming a mother. For the sake of her future and her child, Lily pulled herself together and worked hard. Before leaving, Atlas came over and gave her the warmest hug.
If you find yourself in a position to love somebody again, just fall in love with me.
No matter when, no matter where, no matter what happened next, as long as Lily turned around, he would still be standing behind her. Not long after, Alisa also came to the flower shop to see her. Alisa felt deeply guilty for her brother's actions. Her warning from years ago had been for this very reason. She also told Lily about what had brother said happened to Ryle when they were children. Alisa recounted the story of their father's gun. When Ryle and Emerson were young, they played cowboys. At that time, Ryle was only 6 years old and did not know it was a real gun. He thought it was just a toy, and then the terrible incident happened. From then on, Ryle's personality began to change. At first, Alisa had been very afraid of Lily being close to him. So throughout the time they dated, Alisa had always worried for her. As a sister, Alisa hoped Lily could forgive what her brother had done. However, as her closest friend, she warned Lily that if she went back to Ryle, Alisa would never see her again. Alisa's sincere words soothed the hatred that had been weighing on Lily's heart. She had lived in the shadow of fear and resentment, always looking at Ryle with a prejudiced eye. She had never tried to see him from another perspective. The dark clouds in her heart gradually began to fade. At last she broke free from the barrier of hatred, devoting herself entirely to the flower shop and her child. Soon, the due date drew near. Occasionally, her mother came to help her assemble furniture. But her mother always reminded her that these things used to be done by Lily's father. When her father was mentioned, Lily finally could not hold back and asked why her mother had never left him.
It would have been harder to leave. And I loved him.
Lily still could not understand her mother, but each time she went for a prenatal checkup and heard the tiny heartbeat, she seemed to understand the meaning of preserving this family. This time, the doctor told her she was having a baby girl. Looking at the blurry image, Lily felt both confusion and anticipation for the future. In this world full of hardships, how could she use her still unhealed wings to shield her daughter with a sky full of stars? A few days before the birth, Ryle unexpectedly came to see Lily. He wanted to assemble the crib for his daughter himself. His movements were clumsy, but he tightened every screw with utmost seriousness, as if to make up for the mistakes he had made. After finishing the crib, Ryle prepared to leave, but Lily called him back. Ryle slowly stepped forward and carefully placed his hand on Lily's belly. When he felt the baby's gentle movements, he was so moved by the joy that filled him. Looking at Lily with deep affection, he asked her to give him another chance and swore he would never let such things happen again. But Lily still refused, for she did not want to live in fear and caution. On the day of delivery, Ryle still came to the delivery room to encourage her, and also witnessed how a mother used her frail body to endure the pain that reached to the heavens. After the baby was safely born, to remember Ryle's brother, Lily named her daughter Emmy. Ryle broke down in tears. This surely eased his regret over his childhood. Seeing him kiss the child again and again, Lily finally said the words. Lily firmly told Ryle that they should divorce, not because of the two of them, but because of their daughter. She asked Ryle what he would say if one day their daughter came to him and said that her boyfriend or husband had beaten her, pushed her down the stairs, or abused her. Lily pressed Ryle with the question, if the one she loved was the one hurting her, then what would he say? Ryle answered painfully that he would beg his daughter to leave that person. Lily affirmed that this was exactly what she would do, and that was the reason she had to divorce. Ryle admitted that their daughter had a good mother. Perhaps only when one loves to the very marrow can one truly understand such painful empathy. Perhaps some things can only be resolved when burned again and again by remorse. But the scars that remain can never be soothed by time. Human nature is the same. Domestic violence only has a first time. There must never be a second. Therefore, Lily made the bravest choice. After that, she took her daughter to her father's grave and buried those 5 unspoken good points within the folds of the past. She raised her daughter alone with her mother, striving to run the flower shop of her dreams. Alisa always stood by her side. Life was simple, yet complete and happy, until one day she saw a familiar figure in the crowd. They exchanged a smile and walked toward each other with entirely new hearts. Lily had not reconciled with Ryle, and Atlas was still single. Perhaps the future held many unknowns, but such things would never happen again. The love of Lily and Atlas had begun in innocence beneath the oak tree, but was shattered into regret by her father's fists. Yet the warmth within that regret became the light that helped her overcome later hardships. Her encounter with Ryle once made her think it was salvation, but it became suffering in the cycle of violence. It dissolved love into fear, trust into collapse, hearts into wounds. But Lily chose to end the hurt rather than bury love. She broke the cycle of domestic violence across generations, hoping that every woman enduring it would understand. True love is not a compromise full of wounds, but a warmth of mutual protection. If love is stained by violence, then stopping in time is salvation for oneself. Today's story ends here. Thank you for watching. What do you think of this film?